Dedication and preparation led to a new sensation, new creation. That's what you're facing. Now watch my elevation.
The next topic we're going to discuss on Boxing Bros are comments made by Mauricio Sulaiman, and basically he confirms that Deontay Wilder will fight for the WBC title when Fury retires. Now, this video appears courtesy of, I believe, 1 second, Planet Sport. All right, so let's take a listen.
And good news as well in the heavyweight division, Mauricio. Deontay Wilder has announced that he's going to continue fighting. I mean, how exciting is that as a whole for boxing?
Well, Wilder is a tremendous fighter. He was champion for 5 years. He had Fury he knocked him down 4 times, I believe, in the 3 fights.
Yeah.
He had him hurt in the last fight and was very close to winning that fight. So whenever Wilder is in the ring, he's a major attraction and he can beat anyone in the highest level of boxing.
And if Tyson does retire, Deontay Wilder's in line, right, to challenge again?
Well, he's the #1 challenger. Of course, that is the route that you have to take. So he's perfectly in line to challenge.
All right, so you heard what Mauricio Sulaiman said. He said that if Fury retires, Deontay Wilder's the #1 challenger, and that's the route that people are going to have to take to get the WBC title. Complex, what's your reaction to that?
A couple things. One, I don't think Fury's actually retiring. So, but let's play along. Let's say Fury does retire, right? Let's say Fury does retire and Wilder fights for the belt. I think that's cool. I'm not mad at it per se, but I don't like it in terms of like considering yourself as another multiple-time world champion, just because it's like the guy that you lost to, you never got to beat him, and he retires, and then it's like you come back and pick up. I would like to see Wilder fight some other guy for some other belt. I mean, obviously the belt doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, you know, your champion is a champion. You know, I think also the way it's supposed to work is not necessarily that you're ranked #1. There's supposed to be a final eliminator. I don't know if they're skipping all that for Wilder and just, you know, if Fury retires, maybe they don't have time for that, you know, especially if Fury's not going to campaign, then they're like, hey, it's empty. So the next 2 guys up fight for the belt. But, you know, I think it's okay. You know, Wilder is that level fighter where it's like every time he fights, it's basically a championship level fight. So having a belt or no belt is whatever. But I just find it interesting. I feel like the WBC is really funny. I feel like they're ready to hop on whatever bandwagon is necessary. So it's like as soon as Wilder lost, they were like, get out of here. Fury's our guy. And it's like Fury, it's like whatever. And then it's like Fury's retiring. Wilder, come on back. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you're the guy again. So they just whoever is hot, whatever they can be, as long as Mauricio could be in the ring.
There's an explanation for that.
What?
So there's an explanation for that.
Because the winner.
Every parasite needs a host.
Oh, well, Mauricio can get in the ring, put the t-shirt on you and put the cap on you, and you know what I'm saying? Like that's all Mauricio's worried about. He wants to be in the whatever big fight is, he's in there with the t-shirt on the guy and he's ready to take a picture, stand beside him. So I mean, I'm not surprised that's if, let's say, Fury does retire. But also I don't want Wilder to fight for some sort of secondary belt, because the trouble is what they might do is if Fury retires, right, for an extended period of time, is they might not strip him fully. They could either introduce the franchise tag or make him champion emeritus. But really, he's always going to be the champion. And Wilder will, you know, I'm sure Wilder will still be fighting for the WBC world title, but it's never going to feel like you're the world champion. Unless Fury loses or really, really retires. But, you know, it's going to be tough. I just don't, if they were going to fight, if I'm Wilder, then Fury has to be stripped completely. He has to be actually retired. And there can't be any kind of tag next to his name, like franchise or champion emeritus or champion in recess.
Champion recess is good, though.
Champion in recess, I guess, but I just...
For him, if you're Wilder, if you want a 4th fight, champion in recess is good.
Yeah, if it leads to another fight with Fury, perhaps, right? But I just don't want it to... I don't want it to feel like kind of like how Devin Haney basically was like, oh, you're the email champion.
Nah, because remember with His name's escaping me right now. I don't know why I see his face in my head. Manny Pacquiao and guy with alopecia.
Ugas.
Ugas.
Yeah.
Ugas or Manny Pacquiao was designated champion in recess. Ugas was elevated to champion status. Manny Pacquiao came back and said he wanted to be elevated back to champion because, in fact, he was fighting Ugas during their fight, and they said, "Nah, it's going to stay the way it is." So, what champion recess just means is the champion's been inactive for so long,
Right.
that they're designating them champion in recess, and then they're going to make someone else. They're going to let someone else fight for champion. If the champion decides to come back, then they get an immediate shot at the title. So it's actually would be good for Wilder if they designate Fury champion in recess, because for him, if he wants to fight Fury again, that would be his guarantee that if he wins the belt and Fury wants to come back, Fury has to fight him to become WBC champion.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I think because there's so many different tags that they can give a fighter. I just don't want Fury to be able to retire. You become WBC champion, then Fury can come back and campaign under some other moniker of WBC champion, because then that'll be considered the real belt. So, but yeah, I mean, it's all good. Wilder was champion for 5 years. He only lost to the ring and current champion. So he does. If there's another shot, it's totally fair for him to be right there in line against another top contender for the belt. And I imagine if, let's say, Andy Ruiz beats Luis Ortiz and then Wilder, whatever, and down the line Fury does retire, I can see them making that fight for the vacant WBC belt. So I'm imagining that's kind of probably what they're looking to set up. So down the line, so that makes sense.
All right, G.
I see what Complex is saying, but I actually agree with Mauricio Sulaiman on this. Like, because it's not necessarily saying they're just gonna hand him the title, right? Like a Haney, right? It's, hey, you're most likely gonna fight the number 2 ranked guy. You're the number 1 ranked guy for the vacant belt, right? So I'm not mad at that, and I see what you're saying about, I don't want Fury to come back, and now like that means nothing to Wilder. But to be honest with you, regardless whether you give Fury a title or not, it's the same outcome. This is the same thing with after Fury beat Klitschko and got stripped of all his belts, right? Like, he's right. He's never lost in the ring. I think losses in the ring is what really matters, right? So to me, out of all these guys, I'm like, yo, Fury has to be the top dog. Like, whether he has the physical belt or not, everyone knows Fury beat you, So it's like, I don't care if they strip you, give you a recess belt, give you franchise belt, whatever. We all know Fury's that dude, right? So it just is what it is, right? Wilder could be like, nah, I don't want to be a champion because, I want all of that, the exclusive rights to that. But it's like, you might as well fight for another belt, right? And the other belts are all tied up with Usyk and AJ right now. So what other options does Wilder have? You know what I mean? Like, he's in a good position under WBC. And Mauricio Sulaiman, I think it's an easy thing to rock with Wilder, because when you think about all these other guys, who has the highest probability of longevity and success as a champion? And that's Wilder. Like all these other guys, yeah, they have skills. They may win here or there, but they're almost like a Stavern level type of fighter, where it's like they'll win one fight but then lose another. You know what I mean? Like, let's look. Ruiz is almost the equivalent of an Areola. You know what I mean? Like, these type of guys is like, yeah, they're good. Nah, I'm not even trying to be disrespectful. This is just me being honest, like completely objective. They're good, but it's like there's a strong chance they're gonna lose. The belt's going to be bounced around a lot of people. But a guy like Wilder, the attributes that he brings to the ring, it's like almost 1 in a million, right? There's only a handful of guys that could beat Wilder. So you rather put your money, you'll put your belt to a guy like Wilder versus any of these other dudes in the heavyweight division right now, because it's not really like the top 10 like spectacular, like. So it makes sense for him to be like, no, we're going to give Wilder that shot, because, Wilder's good for business for the WBC. All these other guys are just like, all right, man, like, just know we're going to be bouncing this belt around. And Mauricio Sulaiman probably like, We gotta do more meetings, more this, more that. They don't want to deal with all of that. They're just like, hey, Wilder, we know if we give you the shot, you become the champion. You just gonna constantly give us these fees, whatever. What was it? Board said was it 7% of the purse or something goes to the WBC?
I forget. It was a crazy number.
I think it was 7%. So
Yeah.
No, I think it's like 3%. It's 3% for
Three
each
to
belt.
7, I think.
I think
But
he said
it depends on each belt, because I think somebody like and I think you can also negotiate, because like if you're a multi-million-dollar fighter, you don't got to give them.
But even still, you see, that's my point.
Yeah,
Wilder is a multi-million-dollar fighter versus all these other guys that are like, let's say, fighting at the high 100,000s, right? Who would you want being the champion if you was Mauricio Sulaiman?
of course.
Obviously Wilder. So
Of course.
it's like a no-brainer to me. So I can see why Mauricio's like, oh, hell no, we're going to get Wilder.
And also, if you're Wilder, you're feeling like 5 years of paying you mother effer sanctioning fees. I better be. I better be number one.
That new headquarters y'all got, that's me. That's my.
Yeah. And the final thing I want to say is it's no-brainer. Wilder, say what you like. You may hate his style, whatever. He's still electrifying. He's still entertaining. So people are going to want to pay to see Wilder knock people out. So Mauricio is going to make money off of Wilder. You know what I mean? Like maybe Big Baby Anderson sooner or later when he moves up. I don't even know if he's under WBC like that in the rankings, but maybe him. He has the skills to show that longevity. But there's not too many, again, heavyweights. I'm talking about heavyweights. I don't really see it under WBC. I don't really see it. So Wilder's the best insurance for Mauricio Sulaiman.
TV.
I want to quote the great Caden. Matter of fact, y'all could just hear it from himself.
Champion again. As soon as Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua vacates those belts.
Like I said, like he said, that's how you be champion again. As soon as Fury retires or AJ vacates those belts. But you know, I say this to say that to say this.
I say this.
Wilder. Wilder.
Well, Fury says he's retiring again, so the prediction is correct. Go ahead.
Wilder, you gotta fight for these belts, man. We tired of giving you handouts, man. I'm tired of seeing you take handouts, man. We gotta fight for these belts. If you want to be champion, take on the champion, yo. You are a challenger now, yo. You gotta take on the champion. I want to see you go for Usyk, AJ, Fury, whoever. If you want them belts, you gotta fight for it in the ring. We don't want you getting handouts. Mauricio Sulaiman, stop this BS, because I'm tired of it. I want to see this man really be tested, battle tested, and he has been battle tested. But we don't want the Wilder that's gonna hold on to WBC for years, and we want a Wilder that comes through and shows that he really can box and he really want to fight the best of the best. After that, I also want to say this: Fury, stop playing with that retire name, yo. Like, stop playing with it, like, because you keep saying you're gonna retire, you're gonna retire, you're gonna retire. You got 3 times. You got. Well, he said it like. He said it so many times. You got one more time to say retire. If you say take the belt from him, because we're not playing these games no more. It's you go. Oh, yo, hey, we all know the story about the boy who cried wolf. Fury,
It don't matter what he says. What matters is what he does.
Exactly.
Until they demand him to fight someone or make someone his mandatory, and he refuses to fight them, it doesn't matter what he says.
Demand him to fight somebody tomorrow. Next week, I'm waiting. Fury need to stop playing around with these games because it's childish at best. And sooner or later, we all gonna get sick and tired of your antics, Fury. But
bro, he just beat his mandatory though. He just beat Dillian.
How long ago?
A few months ago.
A few months ago. So he got to fight by the end of the year. Thank you.
No, he doesn't.
Oh, he got to fight next year.
Yeah,
he
That's
should
next
fight by
year.
the end of the year.
he can. He has to defend against a mandatory, which he's already done. All right, I'm gonna wrap this up real quick because for me, I think Deontay Wilder deserves a shot, and I think the person he should fight if Tyson Fury does retire is Dillian White. I think it's a beautiful fight because one, it's one we've been wanting to see for a long time, and there's been back and forth about who's responsible for that fight not happening. Now it won't matter because it will be the best option for both fighters. And when you look at it, Deontay Wilder was WBC champion for 5 years. Dillian White had 1,000 days and blah, blah, blah of chasing the WBC title. And when he got his opportunity, he got knocked out. But the beauty is he can get another shot against the guy who was the reigning 5-year champ, who he said was a bum the entire time. And let's see if you can beat that bum to become heavyweight champion of the world. It'll be UK. It'll be America. It'll be a big spectacle. I think that will be the perfect fight to have to see who's going to be the WBC champion after Tyson Fury. Go ahead, G.
I just want to pose this question. Ned, do you agree with that? Wilder having to fight White for this fight?
Yeah, I think I was gonna say that. I think that would be a nice fight.
Right.
Like
See, just earlier you was talking about freebies and everything. You was tired of Wilder getting freebies. That's not a freebie.
Yo, you think Wilder gonna
It's a
walk through
freebie.
fight
It's a
like
freebie.
Fury did? But Wilder, yo, let me tell you something
He's
right now.
walking through him, man.
Just like you think Wilder about to
Fury
walk
coach.
through Hellenius, it's not gonna be that easy. It's not gonna be that easy, bro.
Proceed.
All right, you heard that. We closing out. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. You can check out our podcast on all major streaming services. We're the Boxing Bros.
Yo, good looking complex, man.
Yes, for sure.